Yeah, so what is that podcast called? It's called like Momentum.
Boom. Big Max. What's up, dog?
What up, fellas? Thanks for having me back.
Of course, brother. I saw you're a big Swiftie now.
I am. It's been a slow burn over the past few years, and
what's up with that? I saw some outfit. Can we pull up Max Browne? Is it on your Instagram? Because this is one of the strangest outfits I've ever seen. Are you familiar with this?
I have not seen it, but Swiftie can do some things to a man. I'll tell you that.
It'll be Browne with an E, and it's
yeah.
It's a scarf while we're loading it up.
Okay, so there's more to this page than what the one meets the eye here. We got scarves.
There's a lot more.
Oh, dude, it's insane.
Yeah. You can keep scrolling.
Is that you? Oh, okay. No. Yeah. I'm like, hey, man.
That's me right there in the background. Go one more notch down. Oh,
dude, how was it?
Not gonna let you. It's would have been on the. If it lets you expand, there's more posts down below. But it was sweet. There you go. Those two right there.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Dude, you can't even see your face.
Can't even see the face. It was kind of trippy walking through the venue like that. I kind of made a point to walk with the hat forward so you could fully take in the outfit. But
and whose idea? Like Vic's, just like you're doing this.
Vic's,
and you were like, all right, or what?
Yeah. Well, there's backstory to this. So Vic, my wife, has a content pillar on her TikTok of like explaining Taylor Swift songs to me. That she's had a few go viral. One of which is there's a Taylor Swift song where like there's a metaphoric scarf that she references. So then I don't know if you guys know, but a lot of like T-Swifties go all out dressing up for the concert.
Yeah, I heard.
So that was my vibe. It was hot as shit. Was hanging out by the AC unit before I got in the venue, but it worked out, man.
Can you explain kind of the craziness behind the fandom of Taylor, because you're closer to it than I am, but it's such a crazy, like you can't even comprehend.
Bro, it's a cult.
But here's the interesting thing. With Justin Bieber, it was female fans. For a lot of the other people, it's female fans. For even some female artists, there are some male fans who are, but for her, it's a female audience. It's not necessarily, you would think it would be that way, but it's not always that way. And she has such a huge, Beyonce's that way too, who comes to mind with the Beehive. What did you notice when you were at that gigantic stadium?
I mean, it's wild. First reaction was like everyone's so nice. Like even going into the stadium, like the little attendants. Like I've been there for a Rams game, and people are like next ticket. There's like have a great time. Like they're leaning in, and it's crazy. Like you'll get the 38-year-old mom who's like geeking out over this, and then you'll also get like the 12-year-old girl, which also speaks to like T-Swift's been in the game for a minute, but she crushes it. I mean, it's crazy. I'm sure you guys have seen the videos, like people hanging out outside the stadium and all that.
Yeah, wasn't it like
stuff's nuts.
I'm about to say they're probably nice, but if you said something not so nice about T-Swift, then they might not be so nice.
Yeah, they'd come for my skull for sure. Oh yeah. It was funny. I posted a TikTok yesterday, that first one we saw, and Vic was like, "Hey, you got to make sure you post." I was like referencing multiple songs there, and he's like, "You got to post them in the right order, or like the Swifties are gonna come after you." And I would have had like no idea. And so Vic was like "What are we? It's got to be 1 through 4." But hey, it's honestly impressive. Like people are so loyal to this stuff. It makes. I mean, I was a Seattle Seahawks fan growing up. I thought that was like a cult. The Swiftie it's a different animal.
So you just came from, you said the Pac-12 is, well, obviously it's dissolving, but you said it was the last interview, right? So it's kind of end of an era within the SiriusXM, right?
Within SiriusXM, only to a certain degree. So they used to have 2 shows every single day, Monday through Friday, and then now they're just scaling it back to 1 show. My involvement with SiriusXM is I host like a few shows a month, so it's nothing like full time. But yeah, man, it's just the result of obviously teams going elsewhere, and we'll see what happens. I mean, as we're filming this podcast, there's conversations about Stanford and Cal maybe getting an ACC bid, which we'll see what happens there. But
that's what I said, because the Mountain West idea doesn't make sense to me, like adding all those teams. Like a PAC Atlantic Conference, besides the traveling, like would make sense, I think. You don't think the ACC would add those 4?
I don't think Washington State and Oregon State have as much of a pull as Stanford and Cal.
Yeah.
Stanford has the academic piece, and then I just feel like from an optics standpoint, Cal's kind of buddied up with them. I'm with you. I find a hard time feeling like Stanford would pair up with like the likes of Fresno State. I just feel like academically they're different. And then ACC has Duke and Wake Forest and Georgia Tech and Syracuse, like really good academic schools. Obviously not Stanford, but I think just from an optics standpoint, that's more feasible. But dude, we'll see. Because I'm of the standpoint like, bro, if you can find a place for Stanford and Cal in the ACC, then you're telling me 10 out of the 12 original Pac-12 schools can find media rights deals in the Big 12, in the Big 10 or the ACC, and you're telling me they couldn't have come together and found the money to keep the Pac-10 together.
That's a very good point.
That doesn't make sense to me, which is just, I mean, funny's not the right word, but doesn't add up for me.
Yeah. Well, like, how did this all start? Because it's all media rights, like TV deals, right? And so, like, what was the first blunder by the PAC? Because it's a strong conference. Like, it's like everyone kind of talks shit about it on the East Coast because it's like soft football, or, you know, it's not the SEC, it's not the Big Ten, whatever. But I mean, I think it's right up there with the Big Ten this year in terms of like depth.
I would agree. Yeah, top to bottom, 1 through 12 for sure. I mean, the first.
Is it also the time difference? That's a big one, though. Like, no one's really watching that late. You know?
I mean, there's a lot of factors, and I think, you know, there's even a lot of factors that like led up to this decision. To your question about like what was the first one? I think the first decision was back in 2011. I mean, some would argue the old like regime and the Pac-12 commissioner, but 2011, getting in a media rights deal where a lot of your content was behind a paywall, which I mean, you guys can relate to this on the podcast front. Like, you established the Pac-12 networks. You did not have a deal with DirecTV. You did not have a direct deal with ESPN, and a lot of that content was like behind a figurative paywall, and so not a lot of people were seeing that. And then you fast forward 10 years, that's a lot of exposure you're not getting from a conference. I mean, the Pac-12 had some good years there where, you know, nationally you're just not aware that Oregon State is a good football team or something like that. And that, as years go
they have
on,
a squad this year.
Yeah, you lose track of that, man.
I saw you posted that. That's
dude.
That's your sleeper team.
That's my sleeper team.
What's your case? Give me like your elevator pitch for Oregon State.
Elevator pitch. I mean, look at the past.
How far do you think they can go realistically?
Realistically,
like, is this a top 10 finish team?
Yeah, I think that's realistic. And look no further than what they did like last year, dude. I mean, they beat Oregon, and
I mean, they almost beat us.
Almost beat us. I think many people would say they should have beat us.
They played better.
Yeah, but they're like their quarterback play was.
It was bad last year.
Bad,
and that's what I'm going to ask you. Who's going to be midway through the season the starting quarterback of the Oregon State Beavers? I'm not saying that. I want to see what Max says.
It should be DJ. Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
And if it's not, then that means, you know, he really did not show up, because I think he's going to get every chance.
What do you think happened to Clemson?
I think a lot of it's the expectations. I mean, he goes there replacing Trevor Lawrence, feeling like the weight of the world's on his shoulder. I mean, I met DJ when he was in 8th grade out here at like quarterback training stuff. And like, he was the chosen one.
Right.
And I can relate to that in some regard. You go there and you feel like you need to be Superman on every play kind of thing. And I think that alone is a huge factor. And that's why I'm excited. Like, he goes to Oregon State. That offense is way more, I think he'll have to like play within himself. Yeah. And the pressure's not there.
Too. I didn't like the offense Clemson ran last year. Like, I was watching them play, I'm like, well, what are you doing? Like, they ran the same inside zone play, I feel like, almost the entire game.
Yeah.
And I like, having played Oregon State the past 2 years, the one thing I could say is they're well coached. Objectively. Like, they're scheming some stuff up. Like, dudes are, like, they have a great offensive line play, and they don't have the talent that the other teams do have. And I feel like that kind of accentuates the point. Like SC versus Oregon State, top to bottom roster, it's not even close. But like, the fact that even you're playing close to us, it was super impressive.
Their stadium's gonna be active too. They got a brand new stadium.
Nuts.
Yeah. That's that's most underrated, or one of the most underrated spots in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
But I just think it'll be like that whole system, that whole setup, better run game. Like, he's not gonna get caught in between this. Like, am I dual thread? Am I pocket passer? Whatever. Like, no, he's gonna be play action, pocket passer. And he won't have to, in my opinion, hopefully the pressure is not on him, and he's able to just relax and ball out. That's what I'm hoping for his sake.
Yeah, because the pressure obviously is something not many people can relate to. People know what pressure is like in work or with family, but when it's so much bigger than you and there's 100,000 people in a stadium and you're a 19, 20-year-old kid, it's no matter how highly touted you are, it's tough.
Yeah, no, totally. And I'm sure you can relate to this like a little bit, Mo, of like, you know, you get a couple, like, starts at Vanderbilt and then you come out west, and even if it is USC, like, your frame of reference is different when it's, all right, now practice is a little bit slower because you know what in-game reps are like. And I just feel like that whole mindset for DJ, like Clemson, we're supposed to win a national championship every year, to like, all right, now I'm in Corvallis. It's not the glitz and the glamour. Like, I can chill out. I can just play ball and focus on like what I'm doing. Yeah. I experienced that a little bit at Pitt, going from like SC, where it's, I need to be the next Heisman Trophy winner, to like Pitt, hey, it's a business trip. It's just a different mentality that can go a long way for guys.
Did you feel a lot more comfortable at Pitt? Because of like those expectations, I guess.
I don't know if I would say comfortable, because like at that point you're having to learn a new roster, learn a new offense. So like it was almost replaced with, having to try to gain that new level of comfort, like more on the field. But expectations wise, I definitely felt like getting off the plane. I was like taking a deep breath kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's different. Like SC's, like, if you don't know, if you're watching, like every practice, like there's an entire media section. Like and you're shoulder to shoulder. So like every throw you make, it's being criticized, and especially you having been the number one quarterback recruit of your class, like I would expect those expectations are just nuts.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with like, 5-star type guys is there's no runway to warm up to college football. You're supposed to be good right away, right now, and if you're not, it's a problem. And I know for me, it took me at least a full season, if not a season and a half, to get like acclimated to college ball, which is normal for most college quarterbacks. But when you have that label of XYZ guy and the transition doesn't happen as seamlessly, then the pressure cranks up to a new level.
It's a good quarterback class too.
And you said it, funny isn't the word, but it, at the very least is ironic that the Pac-12 has the best quarterback class they've had in a long time, and now it's dissolving in front of our very eyes. It's the 1 year that we could have. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean,
so much disappointment.
It's like the perfect storm. Yeah.
There's 5 teams, man, inside the top 20, and UCLA's 28. So 6 teams like inside the top, and Washington State's like 32 on the AP rankings. So the conference top to bottom's loaded, and it's unfortunate, but hey, hopefully it's like a last hurrah. The conference goes out with a bang, and in November you could really have like 4 or 5 teams in the running for the conference title game.
How would you rank the Qs in this conference and like nationwide as well?
A lot of those guys are up there at the top of the national rankings too. I'd go Tier 1, Caleb Williams by himself. Tier 2, Michael Penix by himself. And then Tier 3, I'd go Bo Nix, Cam Rising.
Wow. You're high on Penix then.
I am. I think if he balls out another year, he'll find himself as a top 10 pick.
All right, so who's after Cam?
After Cam, I'll go. So you got
DJ.
I'll go Jaden Delora, actually. Him at his best.
From Arizona,
yeah. They had a top 10 passing attack in the country last year. I think their receivers will be legit this year. Which is funny because Dorian Singer, who I actually think might have been Arizona's 3rd best receiver, might be Arizona's or would have been Arizona's 3rd best receiver. Everyone's saying it could be SC's top guy.
No, he's not SC's top guy.
Yeah,
is that what you're hearing?
It feels like it's a mixed bag. That's like you got 3 starters. I mean,
I feel like it's going to be a receiver by committee. It has to be. Like, I don't think there's going to be a true, like, it's not like Jay last year is like the guy, or Drake the year before.
Yeah. It's not a Drake London situation.
There's no clear number 1.
Not a Jordan Addison, not a Drake London situation, for sure, without a doubt.
Especially inside, which is crazy. Like, outside, it's going to be B. Rice and probably Dorian, but like Zach, Mario, Taj, who's the other guy? Lemon. Like, there's so many smaller dudes inside. And
that's the perfect example. You just rattled off 5 dudes that all probably think they're like the dude, which is great.
Too,
but it's not going to be we got to feed Drake all day, every day.
No, it won't be thrown up to Drake.
Yeah.
Is Caleb Williams the best college quarterback you've seen in your lifetime? After 1 season at SC and 1 season at Oklahoma?
Before I answer, what's your take? Because you're closer to the Sun, being more like closer to it.
No, I mean, he's a monster. The number one thing would be confidence. Like he could spin the ball as good as anyone. That's obvious. Everyone can see the arm talent, the creativity, the comparisons to Patrick Mahomes. Everyone's seen the Notre Dame play, and it's flashy. But it's the mental makeup to me that's really, really impressive. Like, we had him on the show, And it was kind of this viral clip where the first play that he got put in, remember when he took over for Spencer versus UT, it was a 4th and 1, and he had like it was like a quarterback draw or like a quarterback sneak or something. And that was kind of like the defining moment. Like ever since then, he never looked back. And we asked him like, hey, like what's going on in your head? This is like the biggest moment of your life. This is like the biggest potentially moment in college football that year.
Yeah.
4th and 1 at OU playing Texas. And he was like, I knew I was going to score. And there's one thing to say it, but like he actually did think that, I think.
And I remember watching it and going and being like, come on. And then I watched him on TV and I'm like, no, he knew. I think he knew he was going to score.
You know, as a
and
quarterback,
it's a gear I never had, a gear most people never have, to where there's that unrelenting confidence of like, no, I'm the best guy out here and I'm going to whip it out and I'm going to do whatever I want and you're not going to stop me.
And to have that as a true freshman and like your first real reps, like that's what's crazy to me. And I'm with you. I echo the same thing you said whenever I go on like radio segments of his confidence, because it's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, or confidence or manufactured confidence in terms of, hey, I'm saying these things because I feel like I need to say these things, or I'm having this swagger because I feel like I need to have this swagger. It genuinely feels like that's who he is in a lot of like the fashion stuff and just his overall mentality. Like he's so confident and comfortable in his skin. That's why if I was an NFL GM, would be buying his stock as much as any top quarterback we've had in recent memory. But he's a stud. I mean, the on the field stuff speaks for itself, but the off the stuff would be why if I was a GM, I'm like, yo, we got to get this guy.
And he's a different cat, and I watch it from afar, and every time I go, I don't know, he's got a little, obviously he's different, but he's got some Kyler vibes to me, just personality-wise. I've never met him before. Mo, but that's what I was going to get to. Mo always defends him. Mo, they're going to pull you up for his draft thing. They're going to go, this guy's the greatest kid, and like I hope he is. I'm sure he is, in fact, based on what you've said in your glowing recommendation. But like, fuck whatever team on your fingernails. Come on, dog.
That is the one thing that is a head scratcher for me. Like,
it's a head scratcher.
What was the upside for that?
I don't know.
Just to be like edgy and like he definitely leans into the fashion stuff, which like that was like peak like fingernail painting. I feel like that's when it became like fashion.
One thing
trendy.
to paint your fingernails. Another thing, as a guy who everybody's watching,
Here's how I look at it. It's kind of like the eccentric artist deal. Like you can't have one and not the other piece. Like Kanye West, right? Super controversial, says crazy things, unbelievable artist, makes crazy popular songs, right? It all goes together, and like you see a lot of artists are the same way. We talk about the confidence, like it's gonna spill over into other areas that people aren't gonna agree with, and you can't like have one part and not have the other. And like, but he just doesn't care. That's the thing. Like literally could not care any less.
Book it. Caleb Williams, Kanye West of quarterbacking, NFL GMs. You heard it here first.
But it's the same thing. If you genuinely don't care, you do whatever you want, right?
And I guess to some degree you gotta.
And that's what makes you so great at football, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the concern there is that, like, if you're a GM, like I'm just having deja vu of like Baker Mayfield and a little bit of like
a Johnny kind of.
Like Johnny's obviously an extreme, but even like Cam Newton to a degree of like
MVP though.
When you MVP, but a steep decline. I know injuries came into it as well. I don't read much into the fingernail painting. To me, it's just like, what's the upside? Like, why not just do maroon and like yellow or whatever and have it be a trendy thing? Like, why call out a team that's had USC's number the past couple years?
But they back it up, though. I would say if you lose that game, then that's a bad deal. That's like talking a bunch of crazy shit like before a fight and then getting knocked out. You got to win.
Yeah, and I guess in my mind, I'm thinking they lost the title game, but I know what you're saying. That's obviously
the game he painted it, they won.
Of course, yeah. I guess you got to back it up.
Yeah, you got to win. You have to,
and you got to sleep in the bed that you make. So, you can't. You gotta wear that on the chin in the post game interview if you did lose.
And speaking of the post game interview, obviously I'm looking too much into it. After UCLA in particular, usually as a quarterback, you're taught to deflect. You're taught, the offensive line, the defense, my teammates, my coaches. I didn't hear a lot. It was like, man, they were talking shit, and then I did this, and I'm like, you know it. You're a good guy. I'm sure teammates loved being around you. I'm sure you were always a leader, whether or not you were starting. Guys look to you as like, he's going to be, consistent. He's going to be good to everybody, from the head coach to the guys on the training staff to people who are washing the gear. Like, I think that matters a little bit from a PR perspective. That's our glimpse as a fan into who this person is. And that competitiveness there's a side to it that's positive, but there's also, let's not be me guys out here.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm wrong.
If I'm a GM interviewing him, I'm definitely interviewing him, or I'm definitely asking him about that whole deal just to see how he reacts. Yeah. But to me, it's not that big of a deal.
Of course not. But
yeah, it's not. I think it was him just, I don't know, riding that whole wave or whatever. And I'd be curious if he'd do it again. Like, and my gut says no, just because I don't think it was worth the backlash that he got, because there's no upside. But I guess we'll see what happens.
I'm not really.
It was nothing really bad, but it was just.
I didn't.
Again, if it's like almost inside quarterback, where you go, that's not what we're supposed to say, and tempers are high, and they just won one of the biggest games that the school has won in at least half a decade. But again, it's just. I look at a guy like Jalen Hurts. Would he have said that?
Different.
He's a different guy, different personality. But there's a reason that he's had the success and the ascent that he has had because of his ability, his emotional control, and his ability to keep that equilibrium.
Are things changing though? Because is that old school in terms of guys having more personality and individuality within sports? Like a guy like, I know football and basketball are different, but like a guy like Draymond, having his show, being so outspoken, dudes being their own brands now is a thing. Like, I mean, like 15 years ago, the Peyton Manning, Drew Brees approach, like, is that kind of over?
I think so. Funny enough, that clip right there on the bottom left is literally what I talking about that same thing. Yeah. I went to a conference where Jaylen Brown speaking, who's the commissioner of the NBA, PA or whatever, and he was talking about how, like, when he got into the league, there was a culture in the NBA of if you had any sort of side hustle, a la a podcast, it was kind of like, oh, are you all in on basketball? Like, oh, that's cute, like that connotation. And Mo, I'm sure you felt that a little bit building this platform here. But then now, and his argument was that basketball is ahead of other sports in that regard of, if you are an NBA player and you do have a clothing line, a podcast, investments, you're doing this, that it doesn't have the negative connotation it had a decade ago, because that individuality and like brand equity with players is more celebrated now than it was a decade ago, and basketball's ahead of football. So I do think that's changing. And I do think Caleb like taps into that of, you know, he's the face of not only the program, but like college football. And with that comes a lot of leverage that he's done a really good job utilizing for his own benefit, as he should in this new NIL space.
Yeah. Drake concert in the middle of camp is kind of wild, though. Did you see that one?
No. When?
He pulled up to the concert and he was like, am I too far away? He wasn't on the stage itself, but like, I don't know. I just think back to like my training camps, and it's like the last thing.
Caleb went to the Drake concert? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, dang.
Yeah, it was cool.
When was that?
When was he performing? Like last week or something?
Because I know, for whatever it's worth.
Were you out there?
Wasn't out there, but like USC's playing week 0, so they're like camp.
Yeah, it's like mock game week or something.
Yeah, it's like different timeline than the rest of the world. But yeah, I didn't. Shoot, he should have went to the Eras tour. A little T Swift. It was in SoFi.
That would have gone crazy on social media. But yeah, brother. So what are you up to right now outside of like, you know, you got your day job, but like sports media, like what's new with you?
Got the day job, in real estate brokerage, and really been trying to go all in on the social media front. I've kind of leveled it up. TikTok, and then syndicating stuff on YouTube Shorts and IG Reels as well.
YouTube Shorts is huge.
Yeah, it's been fascinating for me as I've tried to, like I said, leveled up the past few months, and it's crazy like watching the different algorithms across the platforms. I'll have videos that tank on Twitter and then pop on Shorts, and tank on Shorts and pop on Twitter. It does kind of make sense. Like I'm getting to the point now where I can kind of project which platform will do well, and obviously there's like copywriting and titling strategy to things, but it's crazy now. It's like literally a rotation I have of like all 4 platforms: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok.
I didn't realize Snapchat was so big too.
Dude, I haven't logged into my Snapchat in like a
me
year.
Neither. But I went to dinner with this girl. Like she does like influencing stuff, TikTok, whatever. And she was asking me about Snapchat. I'm like, I don't use Snapchat. Like I don't like using Snapchat, to be honest. Like if in terms of like communicating with friends, I'd rather just iMessage or text, whatever. And she was like, no, you don't understand. Like, they're paying a crazy amount. I'm like, what's crazy? Like, she pulls up her page or her creator page, and she goes, like, I'm paying my monthly rent in 1 day's worth of a few photos on Snapchat.
Really?
Yeah.
I know
And
their
it
ads.
shows the amount on there, and all you do is click direct deposit, boom, money.
That's
Crazy, dude.
You just got to post naked pictures, Max. That's the part we're leaving out.
get an OnlyFans.
I was about to say, it's like
good
sign
to
of a
go.
good marriage that you're not on Snapchat for as long as you've been. And if you are, I won't say anything, you know?
Hey,
OnlyFans, Max?
yeah, you never know.
That's the title of the YouTube video. Max,
yeah.
Max starts his
Brown,
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
No, that is not in the cards.
That'll do well on every
I have
platform,
No
by the way.
desire.
Yeah.
I have no desire to manage another platform. But yeah, people making bank out there. The Snap algorithm though,
it's
like
nuts.
with the ads like right in your face, it's definitely more conducive.
I
to
know.
making
Yeah, I
money.
know we're deteriorating as a society now that I get my news from Snapchat. I'm like, what did Adam
Daily
22?
Mail.
Wait, he lets.
So what brings you to Snapchat before the other platforms?
It doesn't. But sometimes you want to send a picture that goes away. Sometimes you want to say
Sketchy.
something to a friend. I don't do
Sketchy.
that. No, but sometimes you just want to do something. Guys send stupid pictures to other guys.
You can
We
still
know
screenshot
this.
it,
Yeah, but your friends.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to send
On iMessage.
on iMessage where it's like just there the whole time. Like, no, you don't need it that long, dog. You saw what I... We guys have stupid group chats, do we not?
No, you're right.
We
You're
do.
right, yeah.
I grew up with like what felt like a microscope on me since I was like 13. So I just have this.
You were
like,
super conscious
innate-
about it.
Yeah, I feel like I had to be just kind of given the
Yeah.
platform. Like it's funny, like it was my little like high school community. But I remember like the second I got a phone, it was always like, you never know which coach is gonna see whatever, and that's just like ingrained in me. And not that I'm like some big stiffy. Like I'll you know, there's plenty of videos out there on the internet of me like hammering a beer or like doing some dumb shit or dancing and whatever. But like, I mean, shoot, I'm in a dang scarf outfit in
Yeah, but that's
Instagram.
not bad. though. That's not John.
But, like, that's
night
on-
before a game in Vegas with a mustache.
True, but that is beyond uncomfortable for 95% of the male population out there.
You think?
Oh yeah. You think
No, you let it loose a little bit.
you think
I know.
how many guys would post that on their Instagram feed?
I would.
You would. You're also a content creator. Like
Most guys would not, though.
yeah.
No.
Yeah. I forget even what brought me there, but
Hey, what were we talking about?
T Swift brought you there, brother.
hey, it always comes full circle.
Yeah, exactly.
It always comes full circle. Yeah, I haven't logged into my. It's funny. I went on my bachelor party last summer to Vegas and broke my phone, and then forgot my Snapchat password and just have not logged in since.
Really? That's
so
probably
there's probably
for the
some
better.
stuff in the archives.
That was God, like, away.
Yeah, we did something fun though. Vic and I did like a shared group of like her bachelorette party and my bachelor party, all in like one Snapchat thread.
Oh, no way.
You're looking at you like,
Kind of
wait.
dangerous, but a fun.
Oh, you guys
Highly recommend that.
You're like,
guys
we
did
just hung out. She's doing crazy. Hold on a second. You're like,
Yeah. I
wait,
mean-
you told me you were just going to hang out. Wait, what is this?
Luckily,
basket weaving.
Yeah.
class.
yeah.
Wait, hold on.
No, she was in Cabo. I was in Vegas. We were well aware of
The
what was,
itinerary.
what was in store.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good time.
that's fun, dude.
What happens? Not yours, obviously, but I haven't been to a lot of weddings. I haven't been to a bachelor party. We're relative, we're all young. But
How old are you?
what is acceptable? I'm 26. What happens at the bachelor party that's acceptable, and what's like, hey, we're not doing that?
Yeah,
Because we always want, because you hear guys, oh, bachelor party is crazy, and then like it's not.
Yeah, I've been on 3, and I think the days of like strippers and all that is like gone, at least in my social circle. I think if, I mean, yeah, I think that with like phones nowadays, that's just like not in the car. I mean, maybe like late night vibe, but my friend group's a crowd that like, we have a fun time, but that feels like that's like very much like 80s, 90s.
The ones in Europe are crazy. I was in Prague visiting my buddy. He's playing European football there.
Yeah.
And so I was there for the weekend. And I guess Prague, for whatever reason, is a huge bachelor party destination. Like everyone in Europe kind of like congregates there.
Yeah.
Those dudes go hard. Like I don't see them doing that kind of stuff in the U.S. at all.
That's what I'm saying.
Like in the U.S., it's about partying and celebrating the bachelor. Out there, it's about embarrassing him and putting as much shame on him as possible.
Which is what I always thought it was.
Which is, oh, dude, one dude is wearing, what's that suit you wear? It's kind of like a leotard where it's like, it only,
the Browne thing.
Yeah, exactly.
What's it called? Assless, not assless chaps, but no, the stringy, you know what we're talking about.
Oh, there's a name.
It's like a little banana.
So this dude's walking
Yeah, I think
the street with that, and then they handcuff a midget to him. And the entire day he's wearing that handcuffed to the midget, and they're all wearing like funny shirts and shit. Like, like they don't do that in Vegas, bro.
They don't do that. I mean,
I think midgets is a good touch typically for a bachelor party.
Oh, it's a whole service.
Midget trip. Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
it's
Hey fellas, you
I
listening?
didn't know this existed.
to every friend group's different, I guess.
Yeah.
But in my experience,
No strippers for you, Max.
not
midgets.
for me. Not for me. There was the 3 a.m.
Pizza
craps
delivery.
table and
Okay.
like getting after it and plenty of drinks, but never to that level.
You're a
And
good guy, dude. I wish
Hey,
I had a
I'm sure
daughter
there's
so
some
you could
guys
marry
listening
her.
to this like, you big stiffy, but I'd also push back like, hey, my friend group, we have a good time, and that was not in the cards.
It's not what y'all are
I
into.
think it's maybe the 2023 version.
Interesting. What about in college? Were you always that way? Like, say, like you have a big game or something. Like are y'all celebrating? Like y'all going to frats? Y'all going to clubs? Because I know like SC back in the day was nuts.
They'd shut down Fraternity Row. They'd literally block off 29th Street, and you like couldn't have cars go down. It's funny, like when I got to SC, you like hear all the old stories of
Like
you know,
early 2000s
players getting into whatever frat they wanted. That was not the case when I was there. But no, we had a good time. I was in a fraternity. I was glad I did it at that time. We had was Old Mansion a thing when you were at SC?
Kind of.
So I live with
I was an older guy, so I grad transferred in. So like I would do more stuff off campus than on.
yeah.
For sure.
I lived with like 7 football players, and we had a spot, and we'd have the
also had
shopping
our-
cart, making a CVS run, having all the goods, and a lot of them. I was the only scholarship, or I guess there was 2 other scholarship dudes that I live with.
In a frat.
In Old Mansion, of 7 football players, we all were part of the same fraternity. But I said in the context of like, I mean, I'm sure in your team, the walk-ons, the second the game's over, are trying to get after
Boozing.
it. I mean, shoot, everyone on the team's trying to get after it. We're in college, trying to have a good time.
Oh yeah, dude. Speaking of getting after it, Johnny Manziel, dude, that doc was nuts.
Yeah, what'd you think about the whole like not watching film thing? Which like,
Yeah.
I didn't think that was as crazy. Yeah, I don't know if you're on the same page. I'm like, some guys don't watch film. I don't know if y'all play.
Not at quarterback in the league.
I know some dudes who didn't watch.
Who?
Dudes, I mean,
Besides
I was in the
Jamarcus
FCS, so it's a little different.
I'm not.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
not
But
in the league.
I mean, I'm sure it's happened. Especially
Not
especially
acute.
positions other than quarterback. Yeah, you're right. Obviously, if you're in it for a while, you're doing the right things. But I don't know. I feel like the Netflix series is called Untold. I feel like all of it, for the most part, was told, which it's still cool to relive it because that was such a interesting time in my life as a young high school kid. And you're like, oh my god, this guy is breaking all the rules, right? You're talking about like
Money
he's
Manziel.
breaking every rule and winning Heisman trophies and electrifying college football. This little white kid is beating Alabama. So it was great to watch. But like, what were your thoughts immediately on the
I
documentary?
didn't know the behind the scenes story with like his best friend, like basically like the quasi agent, like
That
the
was
money
cool.
in the fridge. So that all I had no idea about. And it's funny because I mean, I was a senior in high school, freshman in college when that was all going down. So it was like very top of mind. Like, I mean, there was a world where, I was trying to start at SC and like Johnny was the best quarterback in college.
You're
It
like,
was,
do I have to
very-
start getting hammered? Like,
very,
is that,
very front of
is that
mind.
the recipe to win a Heisman Trophy?
Yeah, I knew that wasn't in the cards for me. I never was dual threat either. But to me, it's crazy that he was able to function at that level and beat SEC opponents like hungover. It sounded like, and that whole deal. But it also, I mean, in a weird way, shit, it's almost like impressive of like he was able to do
Bro.
all that and still, play at the level that he was at. Like in a weird way, good on you. But it's also like trippy for me. It's like some part of it's hard for me to feel bad for him because I remember like when it was all going down, you knew all paths led to this blowing up. Like this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable, and it's too bad because obviously he's still dealing with that.
Yeah.
But for that 2-year stretch, man, what a run it was for him.
Dude, we had the same speed coach for draft prep that I worked with at a sports academy, and I asked him about Johnny. He goes, so they're in Indy, and like all the execs and stuff, like they go out to bars and whatever, like they all kind of meet up. And so Johnny just gets hammered, like blacks out. Night before, like literally the biggest day of your life. Like you're going to run your 40, you're going to throw at the combine. Blacks out, like almost oversleeps. They got to wake him up, bro. Pulls up, like, and the coach is like very concerned because obviously it's his reputation's on the line as far as like what he runs in the 40. He's like, doc, like I'm shook. Surpasses any estimate they had all of training.
I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that. That like gives me anxiety. Just like,
bro, it's crazy.
Like even if you were about that life, just go out like
3
the
nights
next
before.
or then like night after, like celebrate.
Right,
like
right.
All right, like sure you're trying to be an NFL quarterback, but like the night before, dude, like how do you even find a bar in Indy that like doesn't have an exec that's like looking over you or some random fan that's like taking a video of you? Like, it's crazy. But he's also probably insulated at College Station too, where everyone's on his side. So, you know, if you're filming the starting quarterback, I'm sure there was a lot of guys like, dude, put the camera away, like screw you. And there's still some footage that like got leaked, of course. But in a college campus like that, when you know, he's the friggin' president of the or it feels like the mayor or whatever, you know, he's the dude. To go insulated to then, all right, everyone's got a microscope under you in Cleveland, NFL quarterback. It's a different mentality.
Right. When you talk about things that he was doing, and that was almost a pattern in the documentary of days, like the day before a big event, something crazy would happen. He'd get hammered. Day before a game, he'd fly to Vegas. I'm not a psychologist, but I think he admitted this in the there's an element of self-sabotage there. I don't know if it's like, well, now if it doesn't work out, well, I was hammered the day before, and it kind of takes, you know, the pressure off of. I don't know.
He admitted that, like,
but there's self-sabotage.
Yeah, in terms of like, he made some comment about that. It was like, oh, you think this is bad? Watch me. And I forget, there was some
after
level
they cut him
off.
off.
Vegas. He like went to Vegas. He cut him and like went to Vegas the next night, or he was about to get cut, went to Vegas the night before, or something like that. And to your point, exactly at certain points, like, there's obviously a huge mental health component, but it's a self-sabotage.
Which a guy who's
situation.
Just exudes confidence. You're going, this guy doesn't stress about anything. But there's a flip side. Things work in opposites sometimes. With that confidence, maybe there's a bit of it like, maybe I'm not. And maybe if I do these things, it'll kind of deaden some of the, you know, pain, anxiety, whatever. I know for me, I always got real nervous before games. I don't know about you. I always knew I was kind of ready, actually. Like, if I wasn't nervous, it's a bad sign. Even for anything, for stand-up, for a podcast. If I don't have a little bit of butterflies, it's not going to go well because I'm not taking it seriously.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I can't relate to anyone that's like not nervous before a football game. Like,
yeah, but people they're like, I don't know, I'll just do what I do in practice. I'm like, that's great for you, man.
That's insane.
Thanks.
That's ridiculous. But hey, I've said this all the time. Some of the best teammates I had at USC were the guys that cared the least. And I think there's something to be said about, and not that they were lazy per se, but they just didn't wrap up their whole identity into the success on the football field. And some of those guys are, when I look back, the best teammates I had. And it's funny because you grow up in the culture of like, you got to work hard, you got to grind, you got to do all that. And there's, of course, tons of truth to that. But the flip side of like, if you're able to turn the off switch completely off and move on and go play 7 hours of Call of Duty, dude, some of those guys were the most successful teammates I had.
You know who one of those guys are is Travis Dye.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Last year at SC. Love him. Trav's the man. And I remember sitting, on game day also, like you could tell. And I think like the no gloves and no socks and all that is kind of like a part of it. Like, hey, I'm just going out there and like I'm good at football, but this isn't like what I'm not super serious about. Well, that's not the right word. He's very serious about it. But in terms of just being relaxed. Yeah. And then like we're sitting, so our pro day, we're sitting in the indoor in the weight room because it was pouring rain. Like, and it never rains in LA. And so like, and we're about to throw. So it's like obviously the worst timing possible. And I'm like, I'm actually pretty nervous. I'm like, damn. And I guess he could tell because I got like my music going on. I'm like kind of like by myself. And he's like, dude, like just relax. Like I really just go out there. You're just playing football. And doesn't matter the situation. That dude just stays the same level. Like he does not waver. And he's balling right now for New York. He had some pretty good plays on the Jets. I think he'll make the 53. But and I've had a few different running backs like that. It's kind of cool that kind of translates, I think, and it helps the quarterback almost feel calm if the guy next to you in the backfield is so relaxed as well. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I never really played with a running back in college. That might be a bold take. But most running backs I played with in college, you had to guide them, right?
Really?
Yeah, whether like playing with a guy, I mean, Travis had what, like 40 some odd starts in his college career. Like that experience goes
I guess the
goes a long way.
Because
Because it's funny, like the running back I had at SC was Ronald Jones, Super Bowl champion, man, like stud. I remember his first practice, man. He like took a handoff like this. Sorry, I just hit the mic. But like both arms over the top, which is like day one, third grade football. Like you don't do that. But like to his credit, he was so athletic and like that was his vibe. And then you fast forward 6 years and he's Tom Brady's running back, and it's like, good on you, dude.
Was he just super raw? Like how does that even happen?
Yeah,
or was he nervous? Is that
no raw of like just never had the coaching in high school.
Wow.
But then you pop down at USC, which it's funny again. Like you think USC, it's like, oh, everyone's like on all their P's and Q's and no stone unturned. But like you get there and some guys never really weightlifted, never had the proper coaching, and it's in some way like for refreshing to kind of be a part of.
Yeah, interesting. Or even in the league, honestly, like a lot of guys haven't really played under like a pro style system. And so it's like some of those installs are just so different than like what teams are doing, like air raid or spread. And then that translation as well is, I mean, that's a big jump too.
Yeah, it's funny. I go back and forth on that topic a little bit. I actually think the days of like having a system or feel like no longer a thing. Like everyone is trying to do some combination of spread, pro style, and air raid. At least in the college ranks, everyone's trying to have some blend of that. So it's like, oh, what system are you trying to have? Well, Lincoln Riley's, or like Graham Harrell's trying to do what Lincoln Riley's doing. Lincoln Riley's trying to input aspects of like Sean McVay and Shanahan and things like that. And it just feels like, oh, what system do you run? Well, everyone's trying to run spread, which like the OG days of spread is like, that's kind of what it is you're installing some pro style concepts, you know, some air raid deal, and now air raids running the ball more. So like no one's really running the true air raid where it's you're passing the ball 90% of the time.
Graham kind of, but what I meant more was like
he didn't do that at SC.
You're saying he ran the ball more? Well, yeah, more than Leach for sure.
Yeah, and that's like OG air raid, like in the truest form.
Yeah. No, what I meant more is like IDing backers, calling protections, like hots, like more responsibility is what I was more referring to.
True. Yeah.
I mean, that's a learning curve. That's not really a big deal. Like,
and I didn't play in the NFL, so I don't know, but I'd be curious how many teams put that on the quarterback versus the center. I watched the quarterback doc. I don't know if you guys watched that, but like,
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, Mahomes was doing some mic identification, but like I would imagine, and I saw Hurts was doing a little bit, but is that just like when you're audibling the protection thing, or is that like when I first got to SC and Lane Kiffin's offense, the start of every single play was Mike 45, Mike 54, and you rarely see, I shouldn't say rarely, you don't always see that at the NFL.
I was under Lane, you're saying?
Yeah. You don't always see that in the NFL now, and that was like across the board. Every quarterback did that 15 years ago in the NFL.
So you watched quarterback.
I have one episode to go, but yeah, I'm
okay. Mo is the more serious. He's going to run it, and I'm going to have some opinions about this, namely the Kirk Cousins thing. The guy's made $160+ million in his career, and he's like, "Yeah, we shop at Kmart." I'm like, "Come on, dog, come on." It's like, what's going on? Like, are you hiding something? Obviously, I hope he's not, but it's like it's so weird. I'm like,
you're like, "Where's the bodies,
bro? Where are the bodies? Where are the children?" No, I'm kidding. No, cut it. No,
I thought the same thing about his like trophy room. Like it was cool. But like, if you're making that amount of money, hire an interior designer to like swag that thing out.
Thank you.
He was just had like a nice like wood shelf, like putting the football on there.
It's weird.
And it's like, good on you. Like Kirk, stay true to yourself. But I was like, bro, you're making that much money. Like that should be a swagged out whole ordeal. Even as like when he's getting massaged and worked on, I'm sure the people working on him are first class. But like, we can't get my guy like a legit massage room or like a legit setup. He's like in his like living room couch area. It's like, dude, you make a lot.
It's not like he's worth $12 million. It's not like he's worth 20. He's made hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah,
He just doesn't care, huh?
And he lives in Minneapolis, so it's not like it's. I don't know. You can't. It's not like he's living.
And look, I think having a
LA.
faith is a great. Exactly, Minneapolis. It's going to get you a lot further. You're a real estate guy. It's going to get you a lot further. But again, faith is a great thing. I think that's awesome for people. But when his wife's like, yeah, we're on the fourth quarter drive, I put my headphones in and the faith music. I'm like, this is. You don't see that a lot anymore.
I thought it was super refreshing. And Mo, I'm sure this probably struck a chord with you too. Of when he lost in the first round of the NFC divisional playoff round, and then like goes home and like reads the book to his kid and like takes the trash out and like does all those things. Like it humanized the sport more so than I feel like I've really seen anything in the NFL do.
But I think the element you're talking about, guys who don't care or have lives outside of football, and they're sometimes the best players. I feel like you got to have something. Even if you have a day job, you do something where you write or you draw. I think it makes you better if you're not just fully consumed in it all the time, and your identity is wrapped up in it 24/7.
I'd say so. And I always struggled with that when I was playing of like, I always did well in school. I never was like a nerd, but I was a guy that would like put the time in to get good grades and whatnot. And I always felt like a subtle connotation of like, oh, well, Max is like pursuing his interests in business, like outside of football. Like, oh, he has other avenues. He'll be just fine. And I was like, screw that. Like, I'm all in on ball. Like, I'm still the first guy, like showing up, and I'm like, digging in and doing all those things. But it's like, oh, but he has this like business pursuit. And I have that now with like the various things I have going on. And I always struggled with that when I was playing. Luckily now, I think guys like LeBron and Steph and Tom Brady, where they have these other pursuits, like again, like we're talking about with Jaylen Brown too, that wall's been like trimmed down in a good way. Because I agree with you. I think when you're able to turn off and have a different, like you're able to get out of your playbook and pursue something else, that only helps your game. Obviously, it's a fine line and you got to be aware of it. But I think it's a good part of sports culture that's changing.
He does seem to be the big winner of that show. I haven't seen it,
big time.
But I've had like at least 5 to 8 people come up to me and say like how much they love Kirk after that. And he wasn't like really out there on social media beforehand, so I guess people didn't know much about him.
Yeah, he doesn't know what social media is.
Likable aspect. I guess maybe it is that he's shopping at Kmart or he's losing the game and then he's going out and taking the trash or whatever. I guess the humanizing. Yeah. But like I've had at least 5 people say how much they like Kirk after watching that, which is, I wonder what that's doing for his brand too. I'm sure it's amazing.
And he does a good, like the singing at the award show, like that stuff goes in the chains and the dancing.
Is the big
like
one,
he doesn't take himself too seriously, which is so like awesome, and he makes him more relatable. I watched the show with my wife, and she's like, "Oh, I love Pat Mahomes." So I think Mahomes did, his platform. He crushes it even more
his
so
social
than Kirk.
good.
But like, I think he came across extremely relatable for how he makes what 4 times as much as, or I guess not on an annual basis.
Girl, though. Did you see what's funny is the most recent clip? Did you see where they ask her, "Hey, what's Pat's favorite meal?" And she's like,
I saw the headline, so she like was wrong, or like she said Mexican food or something.
Could you pull it up? They do like a couples test. I think you've probably done one of those with like Vic. And he's like, what's Pat's favorite or cheat meal? That's what it was. Pat Mahomes' wife favorite cheat meal. And yeah. Or maybe you could fast forward or something. And what's your dream vacation? But
this is always a trap though. Like,
no, but this was bad, bro. Like they've known each other since high school.
But I'm just putting myself like if Vic and I went on this,
like you don't think she knows what your favorite meal is?
I don't know if she does. But I get what you're saying.
But it's also the way she said it and then his response. You could tell he's like, dog, like he's so annoyed, bro. And she's so unlikable. And everything going on with his brother is kind of wild too.
Is this the point?
I'm sure you could.
We could always probably do it in post too, or you just find the clip and throw it in there.
You could just.
Or was it trivia?
Yeah, but that was interesting. Have you seen Hard Knocks?
Just the clips that go viral on social.
You haven't seen it yet?
I haven't sat down and watched. I haven't.
Oh, you got it. I think it's the best season since the first Jets won. with
Rex Ryan.
Like, get a fucking snack. Like,
Yeah.
like, that was the greatest.
I gotta check it out.
No. The storylines are as good as it's been in a long time. Think about it. You got Rodgers, you've got Wilson, you've got Nathaniel Hackett, you've got just a bunch of different things kind of meeting in the middle. It's cool to see Aaron Rodgers behind the scenes too.
And he's at a unique stage in his career too, where he still can play at MVP level, but he's obviously late 30s. And so like, I mean, that's how the clip of like, oh, we got a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like very rarely are you able to say definitively, we have a Hall of Fame quarterback on our team, yet he still has like runway at an elite level. Like it's a cool stage to be plugged into.
I see these rankings of, they do it every day, the top quarterbacks, whatever. If you think Aaron Rodgers isn't a top 3 quarterback in the league still, you're out of your mind as far as I'm concerned. You're out of your mind.
I think most people would not put him in the top 3.
That's crazy to me.
Really?
So what do you go?
I mean,
I'd say most people right now are Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, and Joe
You can't
Burrow.
put Josh Allen ahead of
No, you can't
ahead of
put
Rodgers.
Josh above
Absolutely not. Not to me.
I think you guys are in the minority there. I'm with you. I actually love Aaron Rodgers. I actually agree with you, but I think we're in the minority there.
Maybe no.
It's Mahomes clear 1.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with Burrow. I've really been impressed with
We
him.
are totally in the minority there.
Are you with me?
100%, bro. I think there's people that put like, there's a crew that puts Jalen Hurts above
Okay,
him
I'm
right
a Philly
now.
fan.
No.
He's not in the top 5. The one that's crazy to
Wait,
me.
you say top 5. You said top 3. That's a big jump.
No, but he's still not in the top 5. He's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Great guy, great dual threat. He's not in the top 5. Where was I going with this?
Herbert.
The one that's crazy. Yeah, Herbert's up there. The one that's crazy to me, and I see it. I'm a Colin fan. I love just watching it. What's up with the Trevor Lawrence stuff? Like, let's pump the brakes
Got a lot of
little bit with the Trevor Lawrence stuff. A little. Let's wait.
Yeah. I'm with you. This is a big year for Trevor Lawrence. I feel like
it's the momentum.
No, like huge. Like one or the other. I feel like.
yeah, is he going to be in the tier of all those guys?
The
we just
division's
mentioned?
bad, so they
Or is he-
will win the division. They will make the postseason, presumably, without some unfortunate injury.
Division's rough, yeah.
Dude, adding Calvin's, I think, going to make a huge difference. His routes look wild.
Having a legit number 1 receiver,
Yeah, bro.
yeah.
And Kirk played well last year, and Jones is a
Yeah.
solid player in the slot. Evan Ingram kind of revitalized his career.
Good on
a
them
bit.
too, because they got so much flack for all those acquisitions a year ago.
Yeah, they did.
Like,
I mean-
what are you doing? And then it was like,
Well,
all
it's
right,
still not a
sweet.
good contract, but I think the Calvin trade was awesome.
You're talking Kirk's contract?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
I mean, that just messed up the receiver market. Everyone's just like, why?
yeah.
Everyone's like,
Who's your top 5 though?
I'll go, yeah. I'll go Pat Mahomes. I'm in agreement, but again, I don't think everyone would. I'm Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. I'm Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. And then who's 5th for me? I'd probably go Herbert right now. Herbert.
did you say Lamar?
I did not. I think Lamar needs a little bounce back here.
Yeah.
But he's like right there.
Yeah.
That's what's tough with the rankings too, because like Stafford won a Super Bowl a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's incredibly talented. He's coming off an injury, so we forget about him. The guy I want to ask you about, Russell Wilson, a couple years ago, was in
Fascinated for that.
MVP contention
Dude.
perennially, and now it's like, wait, what's going on here?
I'm
Do you know
fascinated.
anything? It's I don't know the answer.
I don't know anything. Funny enough, the guy I backed up in high school is his quarterback coach. So like I follow a lot of the behind the scenes like social media stuff. Great dude. But we've never seen that before. We've never seen what many would argue a top 5 NFL quarterback tank that quickly.
The only thing I can rival
know?
is the Wentz situation.
Or Cam Newton.
But Wentz had the injury. And,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Cam had the injury.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, Russ has been
You've
healthy.
never-
Besides hamstring, but that's just soft tissue. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's bizarre, and I think we'll find out a lot this first month of the season.
Or you're going to say it's Hackett with the system.
But then that's trippy because like
'Cause-
Aaron Rodgers had
right.
Hackett, and
Yeah.
trust me, it's different offensive coordinator, head coach, but it's just bizarre. And
It is weird.
yeah, I don't
the
know.
struggles, I mean, it's preseason, but the struggles early on now under Sean Payton too, which is kind of adds to it.
Yeah, and then I'm coming out with a video this weekend of like maybe Pete Carroll deserves a lot of credit for, keeping that thing under wraps and like whatever magic he was able to.
You see him spin it yesterday in practice?
I did.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude, he's got
Did he have? I saw that clip. Did he have his patented shoes on?
I don't know.
The grandpa shoes.
No, he looked. No,
Which one?
I'm not even kidding.
New
He looked
Balance?
good.
He has the Air Monarchs.
Oh
right?
yeah.
No, the classic dad.
The classic.
Kicks.
Yeah, those are like
He wears
Pete
those at
Carroll
practice?
shoes. He's been wearing those for 2
That's
decades straight.
Wow.
The same Nikes,
Yeah.
literally. One of my best buds is their equipment manager, head
fire.
equipment manager.
He gets
So
a fresh pair every
He
week.
gets the fresh pair. Yeah,
We got the Monarchs for you, Pete.
dude, it's literally been the
he looked
same
good.
shoe for 15 years.
But you're right. Pete Carroll has been, excluding the stint with the Jets, his first time in the NFL, has been great wherever he's been. And it's like night and day. When he left SC, night and day. Seattle, they're making playoff. Geno looks great for what they expected. And Russell, not so much. I mean, I think you talk about scheme. I think Russell really excels on the move. And I think he's slimmed down a bit this year. I think he'll have a better year significantly. I mean, there's just things in play. Sean Payton. Yeah. But
better year.
yeah.
But there are things that, like, if you took the running out of Jalen Hurts' game, if he had an injury that really hindered him, that's a different quarterback.
I think
Completely different.
Russell didn't rely on the running as much as Hurts does.
But he moved around. He moved around, is what I'm saying. He moved to pass
Yeah.
in ways that I really think helped him. When you guys had like Lockett, who's really good in those situations where you can kind of make things up, come back to the quarterback.
Yeah. Good running game too with Marshawn most of his career.
Yeah. It'll be fascinating, man. It's make or break.
He's an oddball too, though, Russ. He's a different cat too.
He's a weirdo.
Do I? Yeah, I mean,
No, I'm asking.
I'm not in the. I mean, I don't know him personally. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but like, I'm not the only guy saying that there's weird things that go on when he's,
It's just corny.
here, nobody's there, and like I get getting mental reps, but like he's doing it for the camera, and let's not pretend that there's not an element of that there.
I don't think there is. I think that's who he
Really?
is to the core. Yeah. I think that's just who he. I think that this sun is always shining mentality,
But who's like that?
What about the lunges in the airplane?
What person is really like that?
dude. Russell's been like that since the second, turn on a late NC State interview. Like, that's just how he is. And like, there's a certain like, dude, do you like good if you he genuinely believes like he's as optimistic as it gets. I don't think that's an act, and I think that's part of the problem a little bit at Seattle is not everyone relates to that. Not everyone's wired in a sun is always shining mentality, and so it came across as you're talking about maybe corny. But I don't think that's an act.
But it was more than the corny. There are teammates. KJ Wright has a podcast where he had some guys on there. I don't know if it was Sherman. Like it was
Sherman doesn't.
It was
like him at
Legion
all.
of Boom, and they're like, he needs to like, if he wants to be cool with us, he needs to come and like talk about it and basically apologize. Golden Tate was on it. Like, we don't know what happened on the inside, but is the
were
quarterback?
they implying that he was not?
They're not cool with him at all.
But were
At
they?
all.
But were they implying that he was not true to himself?
They didn't really. They kept it kind of cryptic.
One of the
a little
things
bit,
was
but-
like guys they couldn't get in contact with him. It was like you have to go through an agent, a manager. Like he wasn't really talking to
Teammates.
Yeah, he wasn't a good teammate. That was a big part of it. But I think also there's like that maybe he was more of a coach than a player in terms of being relatable, but also maybe like snitching or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've seen those KJ Wright and
And then there's like the optics. It's like, is he doing these things because he thinks it looks good? Like the airplane thing or like, just like a lot of like the different antics.
that's a good point. That's a good point, especially early on in his career.
Yeah.
Where it was like, I need to have this positioning like I'm a legit NFL quarterback. And then it's like, dude, you've been that dude. I don't know. Yeah, it's
hit or miss.
It's
Yeah, you either
trippy.
love him or hate him.
I met him when he was his rookie year at Seattle.
Oh, no way.
And he was great to me. So
He's a good guy to you.
great to me. I hope that he turns this thing around. But we'll see.
All right, yeah, we got to wrap it up. Dope. Thank you, brother. Really
Thanks for
appreciate
being
it.
here, man.
That was awesome. You're the man. Where can people find you? All your
appreciate you.
socials, your broadcasting this season too, everything.
Yeah, man. No, appreciate you guys having me on. Always fun. It's fun bouncing around from topic to topic. Yeah, active on all the social medias. Max Browne on Insta and Twitter, and then backwards on TikTok, Browne Max, and be calling games for Pac-12 Network. And
last year, baby.
Yeah,
Last ride.
We'll see how things shake out, but yeah, good chatting with you guys.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Doop.